everybody! Welcome back to Eating at April's in the Pink Kitchen. And today I'm going to make something very special for a very special person. My priest, Lord Shadow, loves gold cake with milk chocolate frosting. So that's what I'm going to be baking today. And gold cake, as far as I know, is just a white cake with a little bit of yellow food coloring in it, which I'm not going to use, and using butter instead of margarine or oil. And then milk chocolate frosting is just your buttercream frosting with milk and then some kind of chocolate in it. And the two sources that I'm going to use for these recipes are my hero, Mary Engelbreit's Sweet Treats Dessert Cookbook, her white layer cake. And instead of making it in layers, I'm putting it in this right here. Most recipes can convert to this, but I've tried it out with this before and it worked out. And then the milk chocolate frosting comes from another really good book. It's actually a magazine that Southern Living published, their best cakes and pies, the collector's edition. So we're going to get started doing the cake first, and then we're going to make the frosting. All right, so I'm going to read to you, this is Mary's fancy white layer cake, and instead of the white buttercream, we're going to do chocolate. I'm going to read to you the ingredients for the cake first before we begin. 2½ cups cake flour, not self-rising. I just use regular all-purpose flour. 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and you mix those 2 rising agents in with your flour. And then you melt 1½ sticks of unsalted butter, which is also 3/4 cup. And you measure out 1 3/4 cup granulated sugar and 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 cup of milk, and then you separate your eggs. You're just going to use the egg whites for this. That is the secret to this cake right here. It is an egg white only cake, and you froth up the whites so that it makes it fluffy, and then you fold that in with the rest of the cake. So let's get started. I have already measured everything out and melted the butter, and we're going to put this in this bowl. There we go. First thing we're going to do is preheat the oven, bake 350 degrees. And then you've got all your dry things sifted together, and then you're going to put in your butter and your sugar. Yes. You will mix that first. No, Nessa. Nessa, no, no. Damn. Damn. The cat's trying to get up here. Okay, so we'll just blend all that together. Easy peasy. Next goes in the vanilla and then the flour mixture. Vanilla. And you can dump all of your wet ingredients in at once. You can put in the milk now if you want to. And then the flour, you can do half flour, half milk, however you want to. Yes, Nessa. Oh, the cat is so upset with me. I have a computer videotaping on her perch, and she is just really giving me a piece of her mind. Meow! Get that off there, bitch. Wow! Okay, flour. Yes, I love you too, even though you're mad at me. And there's the milk. Now do yourself a favor and do a little bit of mixing before you turn the machine on. Otherwise, the flour is going to make a cloud, and it's going to go all over you and your beautiful pink kitchen walls or whatever color it is. There we go. See how easy that is? Look at that. It's just blending right up. Turn it on high. There we go. It's getting nice and smooth. There we go. Now we're going to rinse this off unless you have multiple beaters, because we're going to froth up those egg whites. So just give me a second. There. Now you're going to get all of that off of there, because you want your egg whites done by themselves and nothing else while you're blending it. Okay, so that's done. That back in there. And even though I was real careful, I still spilled a little bit of flour out. Hi, Nessa! Get down. Get down. There you go. And she's down. Okay. Just gonna beat this up till these are fluffy. And then the trick is putting these in the cake without knocking the air out of them. And you do something called a fold. So you see this is getting bubbly, and it's not quite there yet. I'll turn this on up to high. See, if you use the beater, it doesn't take that long to do this. We're about 7.5 minutes into this video. Measuring everything out is what takes the longest. See how these have filled the bowl now? And we're done. See how nice and thick and velvety that is? Isn't that gorgeous? And all that pours into there real nice and neat. Scrape all the rest of that out of there. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm going to take this. You're going to just gently fold. See that? This is probably going to take longer than anything else you're going to do, because you don't want to knock the air out of those egg whites, because the fluff that the egg whites create is what makes your cake mix fluffy. And at this point, you can throw in a couple of drops of food coloring if you want to. Any color you like. I don't want to. I'm not going to do that. Won't hurt anything. I just too lazy, I reckon. Now, I've been listening to bluegrass music all this week, so you may notice my voice sounds different. I was raised in the South. We moved to Ohio when I was 13, and we visited a couple times when I was growing up. But they say, the first 13 years of my life, I sounded like this, and coming up north, I lose the accent, but it sneaks in from time to time. Okay. Almost there. This has got to be nicely incorporated, but you're going to want to stir slow, and you're going to want to do as little as possible with this. The less you stir this once you put in the egg whites, the better. But on the edges, there's a little bit, it's a little bit fluffier on the edges and a little bit more dense in the center, and it's got to be exact. All right, it's done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scrape this in here, and I'm gonna give the dog the plate to lick because that just makes it easier for me to do dishes. Now, since I'm using a different cake pan than what Miss Mary calls for, this is going to take just a little bit longer than the recipe would call for, as if you used multiple layer pans. She calls for 3. I had reduced it to 2 because I would line them with parchment paper. I don't like a thin cake. I don't like it. So I had reduced it to 2 and lined it with parchment paper, and then take that out, and now I've got it reduced to 1. But we're still going to watch it for the amount of time that she says to, because it is the same ingredients. She says to bake it for 23 to 25 minutes, so I'm going to start checking it after 20 minutes because it makes me feel better. Okay. Now we're going to use this again, but that's to make the frosting. So I'm going to have to get this egg off of here because the frosting does not call for egg. And that cleaned up much more easily. So we're done with Miss Mary's book. I love you, Mary. Again, we're going to bring over Southern Living. Dry all that off. If you've got a few drops of water on this, that's okay. But don't put it in there soaked. Now, 6 cups of powdered sugar. 1/3 cup unsweetened cocoa. 1/2 cup of milk. And 1 cup of butter. This is on the back, way back, page 95, the milk chocolate frosting. First thing I'm going to do is put the cocoa in with powdered sugar. We're going to take this bad boy here and we're going to mix this all up. Now, you're probably wondering why I have such a small bowl for this. And it is simply because when you put the liquids in there, the frosting reduces in volume immediately. So we're totally okay with this. And you can use a larger bowl if you want to. I just don't feel like it. The cat, I wish you could see her. She's sitting over there like, she is so mad at me right now. Do you know how cute you are when you pout? You look like me when I pout. Goodness gracious. So you see, this is not taking very long at all. Okay. I've got this all mixed up. Nicely incorporated. I melted the butter for this too, just because I like to. Here goes the milk. And you know, there's other ways to make a milk chocolate frosting. But I love this book. So we're going along with their cookbook here. And I usually like to make my frosting right before I frost the cake, but it's okay. If you have to make your frosting ahead of time and it's a little thick when you go to spread it, just put in about a teaspoon of milk at a time till you get up the consistency that you want it. You see, this is reduced already. And the reason that I'm using this spoon before I use the blender is to get some of the powder incorporated with the liquid so that it doesn't explode in the kitchen. And that's good enough. This spoon I'll lick. Ready? There we go. Turn that up to high. Look at that. You're going to get there to the bottom, scrape the sides. Make sure you get this all well incorporated. Now, unlike the cake, you can beat this plenty and it's not going to mess it up. You want this good and smooth. That's another reason why I used a smaller bowl to keep everything confined. Now, let's taste this. That is amazing. Woo, that's good. Okay. Well, the next thing that we're going to do, besides lick the beaters, of course, is just take that cake out when it's done. Now, like anything I cook, you cook it till it's done. You check it, and if it's not done, you check it again. You're going to take a toothpick and insert it into the center, but before you do that, you're going to just barely touch the center, and if it springs back, then it's ready to be checked. But if it's a little bit mushy in the center and it's firmer on the ends, you're going to need to cook it just a little bit longer, increments of 60 seconds at a time. And you will not burn your cake that way, and you will not have to worry. Okay, that is how to make butter cake with milk chocolate frosting. And when we're done, I'm going to let the cake cool for a while. I'll clear out room in the freezer, and I'll pop it in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and I'll take it out and sit it on the countertop because I'm impatient like that. And then when the cake is completely cooled, I will just pour all this frosting over it. This bowl has a lid, so I'm just going to put the lid on it and sit it over there after I wipe the counter off. And that is how I make a cake for Lord Shadow. And you can too. Well, thank you for joining me again. This has been Eating at April's. Bye!